except that you follow me. You can tell us our names. Tell us your name.
I'm Mike Hatcher.
Hey folks, it's Ernie Pack.
I am Natalie Jones.
What's up everybody, my name's Matt Warner.
Hey, I'm G-Man. You know what, I'm George Joplin, I'm anybody you want me to be, but you know what, there's one thing I am. I'm part of the para movement. That's right, feel it. Oh, feel it.
My name is Melody Knapp and I am part of the para movement.
It's April, the Psychic Housewife from New Jersey, and I am part of the para movement.
Hashtag the para movement.
And I am part of the para movement.
And I'm part of the para movement.
I'm Sophia Tombrelli, and I'm part of the para movement.
Just wanted to talk real quick about the para movement that's going on in the world. It's all about para unity. It's about para family. It's about diversity like you'll see nowhere else. In the paranormal community, we got folks of all races, religions, sexual orientations, political beliefs, you name it. And we're spreading positivity, good vibes everywhere. So, hashtag the para movement. Join it, be a part of it, and everybody have a great day. Take care.
Why did you let him kill me? It was the clown.
To Animal Paranormal Live, where we talk about all things paranormal. And now, here's your host, the Animal.
Are you ready?
This is the Animal on Animal Paranormal Live. Thank you so much. Guess what? It's a brand new year, and we're going to celebrate it this year with some amazingness, a lot of amazing things that are coming out. And stay tuned. After the show tonight, I will be announcing my new project tonight for Animal Paranormal Live. So please stay tuned. But I got an amazing couple here that I've been listening to a very long time. And their podcasts, their stories are they're amazing. You have to listen to them, check them out. Hillbilly Horror Stories. I'm going to have my good friends, Jerry and Tracy, on.
Hey, what's up, Animal? Hi.
How's it going, guys?
Good. Thank you for having us on. We appreciate that.
No, I'm just stoked. I've been wanting to have you guys on for a while now. Just hearing you guys. I love your stories. I love how you guys put it all together. How did that all start for you guys? Hillbilly Horror Stories. How did this whole podcast started?
Well, it started about 4.5 years ago. It was myself and a friend of mine named Ricky. We started it up. I was a stand-up comedian, had been trying to get out of that field of entertainment, but needed some kind of creativity, outlet of some sort. And I started listening to podcasts, and I thought, hey, I love the paranormal, and I've got some cool stories, and I thought this would be fun to do, and that's kind of how it happened. I transitioned from comedy into this.
That's awesome. How long have you been into comedy?
About 15 years.
That's awesome. Now, did you do it locally, or did you travel around?
I finished up locally, but I traveled around. I mean, I've opened up for people like Rodney Carrington, and actually got some cool stories about Rodney that we will choose for another time. But yeah, no, I mean, I've been privileged to be able to meet a lot of the big names out there, open up for some of them, and so yeah, that's that. But it's not fun life on the road, and if you're single, it's one thing. It's a little tougher though if you're married or trying to buy houses and stuff like that. It's not exactly the best field for insurance and steady income. So this was it was a lot better to do it as a side gig rather than the main gig.
Oh wow! What about you, Tracy? How did it all start for you for Hillbilly Horror Stories?
It started with me with Ricky. We were actually up visiting my parents, and we were on our way back, and Ricky had called Jerry and said, I'm sick. I don't feel well. And the show was literally going to begin in like 3 hours or something. And Jerry was just like, well, you're going to have to sit in. And I'm like, well, I mean, I don't even know what to do. I don't know anything about the story or anything like that. And it just kind of started from there. So
that's awesome.
Uh-huh.
How did the paranormal start for you guys?
Well, for me, I grew up in a haunted house. I say grew up. We moved there when I was about 13 years old, and for about 5 years, we had steady paranormal activity, and that's really my first taste of anything like that, and that's kind of why I was interested in, and it kind of went from there.
That's cool. How about you, Tracy?
Well, honestly, I really didn't have any kind of paranormal things happen to me, but once I kind of got into the show with Jerry, it made me think back like, oh my gosh, because there have been times where things that really weird have happened, but I never even gave it another thought, honestly. Yeah. But once we kind of got into it, I was like, wait, was that something? And I just didn't realize it. So yeah, it was pretty freaky, Yeah. It's cool though. I'm okay about it now. So
now tell me about your stories. Like the one that I love that I listen to that intrigues me is the Skinwalker Ranch, the Skinwalker story. Is there anything you could tell us about that? About more on that story?
Not really. That's actually our most listened to story of all time. That's Skinwalker Ranch is just something that so many people are interested in.
Yeah.
But man, we tried to cover that one. I think that was about an hour and a half, 2 hour story. And we tried to cover most everything that we can in it. Unlike some shows like Astonishing Legends, for example, they'll do multiple episodes on one case. And man, they get into some super, super deep details. I don't have that kind of interest level as far as like I've got a little bit of ADHD when it comes to reading and research. And I want to hit on the topics that I think everybody's interested in. And it's nothing against them guys. Them guys do a fantastic job. And Scott and Forrest are good friends of ours. And but like it's like I tell them all the time, man, you can do 7 episodes on a cereal box. With us, we could take the same thing they did 7 episodes and do an hour and a half episode on, and just touch on the basics, which I think there's a market for that. Also, there's people who want the deep dive, and then there's people who just want the cliff notes, and that's kind of what we do. But when it comes to that story, I just think it's awesome because there are so many different aspects, from the UFOs, from the shapeshifters or the skinwalkers, however you want to term it, to Bigfoot type creatures out there, to animal mutilations. And I think the most telling part of that is the gentleman who ended up buying it originally. I mean, he had planned on doing all kinds of UFO research and everything on there. And I think he sold it now, and it belongs. Yeah, I think he had sold it about 3 years ago. Could be wrong, but I think another private entity owns it now, and they're doing like space type stuff out of it. It's like this guy who's like made his money in like the space field, and as far as rockets and stuff like that. So I could be a little bit off on that, but for the most part, that's the way I understand it.
Yeah, that's one place I would love to go to. That's on my bucket list to definitely check out to see what's actually there because you hear about it. There's actually a new show on it. I think Skinwalker Ranch show. I haven't got to really seen it yet, but it just captivates me because I'm into Bigfoot. I love UFOs and the paranormal as well. But I actually just had my first experience with a Bigfoot not too long ago, which was really awesome.
Oh my gosh.
And that was like my number one bucket list to see. Now I just want to, if I could see UFOs, I'm done. I'll retire.
We got a good friend that lives out in Utah, and she literally is 15 minutes from Skinwalker Ranch.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, we all gotta make a trip up there. That's it.
Yeah, we surprisingly have a lot of podcast friends that are in Utah. So, I mean, I would love to make that trip.
Yeah. They, I know they do a lot of events. I think they have no wait. That I think that's Area 51 where they do the UFO events there. But they should do something cool nearby there. That would be pretty cool to do.
You know, another place that's similar to Skinwalker Ranch as far as all the activity is Chestnut Ridge.
I've heard about that place.
There's Small Town Monsters did an awesome show. It's on Amazon Prime, and I think it's actually one of their free ones on there. But man, they did it's got the same thing. It's got Bigfoot, it's got UFOs, it's got you name it. It's out there. That place, poltergeist activity.
Yeah.
And it's a really cool place. So if you like the Skinwalker Ranch for those reasons, check out Chestnut Ridge.
Now, what is the most captivating stories have you guys ever told on your podcast?
Tracy, do you have one that stands out to you right off the bat, or do you want me to go first?
No, you go ahead.
I like a little bit of everything. So I like a little bit of the true crime, creepy. We do some true crime if it's got a creepy aspect to it.
Yeah.
Zach and Addie in New Orleans was one of the ones that we've done that had the paranormal and the true crime aspect to it, along with some mental health issues. And to me, that was one of my favorites. I love the Chicago Ripper Crew, which was basically a group that was going around killing people, but they were kind of had a little bit of a satanistic approach with some of the occult activity that they had. So that was one of them I like. And then as far as like the regular haunting stuff, the Bell Witch is always going to be my favorite. I think that's the most awesome ghost story in American history.
Yeah, I had a friend who just went there, I think a year ago, and said that place was phenomenal.
Yeah, we will probably make it there because we're only about 2.5 hours from Adams.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, we'll probably make it there at some point in time this year.
Awesome.
Tracy?
How about you?
Well, I was just going to say, I do not like the crime stories. I can't handle them. I just can't. Ugh. Every time we do one, and I usually don't know we're going to do one because he knows how I don't like them. I usually end up bawling my eyes out or something. It's just horrible. But I really like the rock and roll occult thing. I learned a lot from that, like Hotel California. I didn't even know what that meant. I'm just singing along like it's just all happy and stuff. And I'm like, holy crap. I didn't even know what that meant. So I didn't know what it meant, but I learned a lot through that stuff. And it's just interesting to hear, some of the things about the rock singers and stuff like that. But I mean, I think those are my favorite. We don't do enough of those.
Yeah, I'm actually into true crime a lot. We're actually locally here. I'm a rescue diver.
Oh, wow.
So we do a lot of pretty much investigation and diving the waters to find missing people. So it's kind of like up my alley.
Oh, I don't know how you do that. And I have talked to him about that before. It's like, it just really takes a special person to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And I just am amazed by it.
Yeah. It's a lot of work, but it's very bone chilling in a way and very heartfelt because once you find that person, you got to tell that family it's kind of an awakening to them that you're doing something good and helping somebody out.
Right.
Even though it is sad, it sucks because you lost somebody, but you don't have to worry about them missing no more.
Yeah,
Well,
that
that's very
closure means a
true.
lot.
Yeah, it does.
Especially, there's actually a case here locally that there's a person been missing for I think it's almost a half a year now that they've been searching for. So it just sucks when when someone's lost, you lose your lost one, you can't have a closure like you were saying.
I mean, how do you
But
feel when
anyways,
you find one?
It's how can I say? It gets very sensitive. You get very sensitive to the aspect of it because when you find somebody, it's sad because you don't want to find really, a body per se, like that in that form. You want to see someone living. We don't want to, actually see a dead person.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very sad. That's all I have to say. It's very exhausting. The energy.
Oh, I'm sure.
You could feel all that energy leave your body.
Wow.
So it's
can you imagine?
very exhausting in a way. But anyways, what places have you guys been to? What's the most scariest locations you guys have investigated?
Well, we don't do a lot of actual investigations. We go to places more or less just to visit. We do, we're definitely novice when it comes to investigating. We're hoping to get a little bit better than that. I got some ghost hunting equipment for Christmas.
That's
and so we're going now. We just got to learn how to use it, and we'll play around with it. But to show you how bad we are, last Christmas I actually got an EMF meter, and I think the next 500 places we went to, I forgot to bring it on all 5 occasions. So, but we had the privilege. Obviously, we've been to Waverly more times than we can count. Same with Bobby Mackey's Music World because they're both within an hour and 15 minutes from us. And then the key, though, I think that the best one to us was the Sally House. We actually got to spend the night at Sally House last August. And, man, it was
very intense.
It was intense.
It was.
And the situation was not ideal. We were excited about it for a long time. We had it set up for probably 5 or 6 months, but about 2 days before we were supposed to leave to go to Kansas, which is about a 9-hour trip for us driving, Tracy's father tragically passed away. And so we had to go through the emotions of that. And then, we had to try to make a decision on the spot on whether we were going to continue on with the show. And the problem with that was it was just 2 of us. It was us and Justin Rimmel from Mysterious Circumstances. And we had all the equipment. So even if they'd have wanted to do the show, they really didn't have it. When it was sold out, had been sold out. We had investigations that were going to be tied to it. We had the regular show that was sold out. And so we pretty much, when this happened, my instinct was automatically we have to cancel. And talked to Tracy, and Tracy talked to her sister. And they just decided that, they would make the arrangements. The show was they had a whole weekend set up in Atchison for us. I mean, there was haunted trolley rides, haunted cemetery walks and all that. And all that was set up for this event. And Tracy being the trooper that she was, and her father was in show business. He was a musician. And, she knows how it is in the entertainment business. Usually the show must go on. And like I said, her and her sister made the decision that I think this was on a Tuesday, I believe it was. And they made a decision to go up the next day and make the arrangements for the following Monday. And then we were gone Friday, Saturday, and came back Sunday for the arrangement. So it was bittersweet to say the least. We were so looking forward to going up there, but it was kind of hard to enjoy knowing that she just lost her father and then knowing that we were coming back to a funeral.
Wow. I'm so sorry to hear about that.
Thank you, honey.
Definitely prayers for the family, and I totally understand losing a loved one. It's not easy. But prayers and blessings and for many more.
Thank you.
So I know you said you got some cool gadgets for Christmas. What kind of gadgets have you gotten?
I got 2 sets of dowsing rods, which I figured that's the easiest thing for me to tackle. I got another EMF reader. So now we've got two, and I got and to be honest with you, this was a new one on me. My son bought me it's like a infrared thermal gun. So it looks like a glue gun, but it's just it detects different changes in the temperature, and that was something that I was kind of unfamiliar with. I mean, I've seen them use similar type things like REM pods and stuff like that, but I hadn't seen this, so I got one of those.
That's awesome. Do you have any gadgets, Tracy?
No.
No?
Let me out.
You don't basically do everything, so that's hers too.
Yeah.
Obviously.
I'm sure he'll share his dowsing rods with me since, yeah.
Now, what do you guys got coming up? Anything coming up this on? I know it's a new year. Happy New Year, by the way.
Happy New Year.
It's 2021 finally. Already 2020 is gone. But anyways, before I ask you what you got actually, how has everything been since you've been going through COVID?
It's been we've been okay. Of course, you know that the main concern is everybody is healthy and stuff like that. It's been good. We do miss seeing our friends when we have our live shows, and you know, well, hopefully we can do that this year. But we've been blessed, and you know, we've been around people that's had it, but we've never caught it. Thank goodness. So, you know, we're just making it, and hopefully this year will be the start of the way it used to be. Hopefully.
Yeah, we've been pretty lucky.
Yeah.
It was a crappy year for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And for us, we had 9 live events set up, and some of these were at places that we were just itching to go. I mean, we had one set up in Savannah, had one set up in Charleston, Point Pleasant, West Virginia, and we had several others, but we had to cancel all those, obviously. And those were trips we were definitely looking forward to. But like I said, it's all about keeping people safe. We did have a couple that we were able to get out. We did one in Pigeon Forge, mm-hmm. and that one actually turned out really well. And we did one inside Bobby Mackey's, and we made sure that everybody had was spread out. That was the only way we would do it. We fixed it so everybody could spread out. And of course, Bobby Mackey seats 500 people, so we only had 50 in there, so there was plenty of spread out room. And same thing with Pigeon Forge. There was 100 seats in there, and we cut it down to, I think it was 40 seats.
40 or something, yeah.
And so we were able to squeeze in a couple. I had a book come out, and then we couldn't do any book. We did 2 little book signings basically, but that's all kind of put on hold too. So it's, but the bright side of it was, you know, we were able to become full-time podcasters in 2020. Yeah. So as bad as a year as it was for so many, it actually was, you know, pretty good for us in a lot of aspects as well.
Now, you said you mentioned a book. Tell me about your book.
It's about 6 by 9 inches. No, it you know, we were asked several times since we started doing this, hey, why don't you write a book? Why don't you write a book? And the long and short of it is, I didn't have anything to write a book about. I didn't want to rehash a bunch of old stories and put in our take on the Bell Witch. We basically do that every week for a show.
Yeah.
So that was not something that I had even entertained. But over the last 4 years, we've gotten a lot of really great messages from people. And several of those messages have been how it's changed people's life. People that were on the verge of suicide that said our show kept them from committing suicide, or just so many stories that were like that, heartwarming stories. And I remember, and I put this actually in the introduction of the book, you know, I grew up in a haunted house, five years worth, you know, but that's not really enough to write a book on.
No.
But I did feel like that I had enough experiences with that and what people were telling us, because, you know, we start off every episode. And initially didn't start that way. For the last 3 years, though, we've been talking about suicide prevention, and we've been talking about depression. We started a Facebook group that's got 5,000 people in it now that we pretty much use as a support group. So, you know, if you're out there and you're struggling right now with mental issues, whether it be depression or whatever the case, anxiety, and you just want somebody to talk to, we got 5,000 people that if you post it or you got an issue, you're going to get 60 responses in the first hour.
Wow.
So you'll never be alone. Well, we've been doing that for about 2 years now. And with all this combined, I thought, you know what, you know, I suffer from depression. And Tracy suffers from depression. I had a suicide attempt back in 2001, went through a nasty divorce. I didn't feel like I was the greatest person by far back then, but I've changed my life. And I thought, you know what? If we did a book and we talked about three separate parts, my paranormal aspects growing up in a haunted house, my dealing with my depression, how bad of a person I was, my suicide attempt, and how I've strived to get better. And then how we were able to start the podcast that basically combines the two. We combine paranormal with trying to help people and how we started the group. And so we've got three separate parts of the book, and that's what it is. So it's not all paranormal. It's more of a self-help book, I would say, than anything. But we include 20 or 25 messages that people had sent us saying how it changed, the show changed their life. And that's what the book is. So it's called Hillbilly Horror Stories from Hell to High Water. And, that's basically what it deals with.
That's awesome that you guys pretty much mention it every episode. Is that what you said?
Yeah, it's at the beginning of every episode. We thank all of our military and civil servants, and then we give out the suicide hotline number, and we tell everybody. We've given out our personal cell phone numbers over the air and on our website. So we probably, I'm not going to say counsel because we're not professionals by any means, but we personally talk to several people every single week that are just need an ear.
Yeah, I totally understand it. And depression and I come across with people with depression. I know I've suffered depression before my marriage. I went through a divorce. The same thing, going through just a lot of hell, and you just pretty much, you don't know where you want to go in life. You just keep trying to find new things to cover over that depression.
Mm-hmm.
And it sucked. And, when you finally find that happiness, yes, you're still going to have that aspect of depression behind you trying to say, well, remember, you're still, you have depression, but you're pushed back to that moment where you're happy now. And that's what I try to tell people is which I'm actually working on a project right now, which I will be announcing later on, is I want to try to help people who've lost it all. Gone through anxiety, depression, has been homeless on the streets, lost it all, everything in life, and divorce or suicide, anything. And I want to be able to share that there's an awareness out there that especially with COVID now, there's so many people that have lost their lives, lost their homes, money, everything, jobs. I know my wife, they had to cut her pay back, and then they finally gave it to her fully. Thank the Lord. But it just going through that kind of makes that depression come alive again, because then you're going through it's like a living cycle.
Yeah, exactly.
And it sucks, but that's the reality we live in this world today but that's why I have the para movement, is where we could be there for each other and show love and compassion, because that's what I feel like we need in this world is love, compassion, and being there for each other, and just and be away from all the negativity.
Absolutely right.
Yeah, that's it. We believe in that too. I know if you follow us on Instagram, we always post something every day. We try to, but every other day at least, we post something motivational on there. And it's not all about paranormal all the time. Sometimes it's just about being human beings.
Yeah, we got to be there for each other, especially when someone's down. Just have a helping hand and helping them up too. We're a family, and that's what makes the para family amazing, is that we're there for each other. Say, hey, can I help you with your groceries, or or can I help you with giving you $5 for this, or something cool that will just put a smile on people's face.
Absolutely, it's got to be done. We've got to be there for people. We have to.
That's why I feel 2020 is going to be an amazing year. That's what I'm hoping for, is just a lot of love and a lot of compassion.
Amen,
brother.
So what else is going on with you guys now that we're talked about that, let's talk about 2021. what are you guys planning on doing this amazing new year?
Well, normally, as far as the live shows, we normally set about 8 or 9 up, and I usually set those up in October the year before. Obviously, there was too much, unknown out there to be able to do that because we didn't know where we stood with the virus. We didn't know where we stood with the vaccinations going on, and luckily, I was getting ready to start stuff because they were talking about originally, hey, we should start having most of the United States vaccinated by March or April. And I was going to start setting shows up for like June, and now all of a sudden I'm glad I didn't, because now they're saying, well, maybe it might be early fall. So I think we're probably going to set 2 shows up. We'll probably do one in St. Augustine, and we'll set up for maybe like September. And then I think we're going to go to Dallas, Fort Worth, and maybe do a show with our buddy Leslie Fear, who hosts Because I Want to Know. And she actually kind of got her start on our show, and then she branched out and started hers, and she lives out in that area. And I've never been to Dallas, and Tracy's never been to Dallas, and
she also is an author.
I thought, so I thought it would be really cool to go out there and do something with her. We've never met in person, and that would be awesome. So probably I would say September, October, we'll set those 2 shows up, because I feel like by then everything will be pretty much on track. By then we'll know what we got.
That's awesome. So when do you guys record your podcast, or do you do it live?
No, we record it. We typically record every Sunday night, but the reality of it is most of the time we record it and then put it up within a half hour of us being done with it. So we kind of edit as we go. And so when we're through recording, we're literally through. It's just a matter of putting it up on the hosting service.
That's awesome. Now, what are you guys telling this weekend? What kind of story are you guys having on your podcast this weekend?
This is going to come as a complete surprise to you, because we record on Sunday. I have no clue. I spend about somewhere between 50 hours a week between it. I've got another thing getting ready, a project that starts this Wednesday. So between the two, I'm spending 50 or 60 hours a week on these 2 shows. So what happens is from about Tuesday to Friday, I watch as much stuff on the topic we're going to do, and then I read as much stuff, and then I spend for about a 40-minute show, I spend about 5 to 6 hours writing that story out. I typically write it out on Saturday, and then we record Sunday night. Sometimes, depending on the schedule, I might still be writing at 5 o'clock on a Sunday night, and we'll do the recording like an hour. So it just really depends. But so I really don't have a topic yet. I'll working on it as we go, but I'll literally probably tomorrow morning, I will watch 1,000 different YouTube videos of haunted places. I'll look through my many books that I have, then I'll find a subject that interests me, and we'll go from there. Now, we did do one last week. We did one on the Cokeville Miracle, which was up in Wyoming, and it actually involved angels and stuff. And it's the first time we've done one of those stories, but it was very uplifting.
That's awesome. Now, Tracy, with him being a comedian, do you have to deal with his jokes every day?
Every day. Every day. When I first heard him, let me tell you, our first date was he asked me to one of his shows. Okay? I was all excited until he opened his mouth. And my mouth fell to the floor. I'm like, I cannot believe you said that. I can't believe you said that. And I was just like, because back in the day, he let it rip. Let me tell you.
Yeah, I grew up with idols. My idols were Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy, Andrew Dice Clay.
Yeah.
So Chris Rock. I mean, that's what you were going to get.
Oh gosh, I was so surprised, because it was just so funny to just see him up on the stage, not looking like those words could come out of his mouth. But everybody loved him. He had a huge following wherever he went, and but I think that's what keeps our relationship going, because he's all the time on it every day. He cracks me up every day with something. So that's a good thing.
What does he do? Like a daily joke a day with you, just try to make you laugh?
No, it's not even like a joke. It's just like I'll say something in like a split second. He'll just have something funny to say about it. I don't know. I can explain it. It's just like what are you?
Quick-witted,
Yeah, that's a word.
smart ass.
Oh yeah, that's a
Yes.
word too.
I've heard both.
But yeah, I mean, and I'm amazed honestly because I'm like, how do you come up with that stuff that fast? And I mean, he just boing, boing, boing right off the top of his head. This is how he is, but it keeps it interesting, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, I don't know about me. Like, I have to do something stupid like fall or something, and my whole family freaking laughs at me, or I'll say something stupid and I won't even realize it.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. I don't know why I find that when people fall, it's hilarious. That's a terrible thing, but I do. I laugh at that kind of stuff too. So.
Yeah, I just went. Where was I? I was in Kentucky, and no matter what word I would say, I was with a big group, Midnight Wolf Pack, and no matter what I would say something stupid, and the whole group would just make fun of me and laugh at me because I just do something stupid.
That's all right. We like that laughter. It's good for your soul.
Hey, yeah, it's a good exercise to just laugh constantly.
Yep. And I laugh a lot.
I just saw Chris Farley, right?
Yep.
Matt. I just saw his brother Matt Farley at a comedy club. What was it? A month ago.
Oh dang!
He looks just like him.
Yeah, he does.
Oh my god! I thought it was actually Chris Foley. Just weird because he would do the same kind of things, that Chris Foley would do. He would like hold his pants up and just make those weird like. So it was amazing. I was blown away, and it was kind of funny. He told this joke about Chris Farley, where it was not too far from when he passed away. It was at Christmas, and Chris Farley told his brother, he's like, dude, I'm going to give a present, of the ages to my family. And so he handed it to each person in his family, and each one of them was a sex toy. So he handed it to it was just so funny.
Oh my god, how awkward.
I could make that an annual tradition.
I love Chris Farley, buddy. He was so funny.
That and I think Chris Tucker and Eddie Murphy. Those were legends.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, Animal, can I bring up our new project?
Yeah. Let's talk about your new project.
Well, I'm super proud of this. We decided that we wanted to do an extra episode that we could do as a bonus episode, but we wanted it to be more scripted and a lot more. I guess I would say a little more projected production value, we'll say. But we also wanted it to be something that we could do a video series on. So we started a new YouTube channel.
Okay.
And the show is going to be called Hillbilly Dead Time Stories. And obviously it's a play on bedtime stories.
That's
but
awesome.
It's really cool. It's they're going to be 10 to 15 minute videos. We haven't put the first one up. It comes out Wednesday, January 6th. So the first episode's getting ready to come out. They're going to be 10 to 15 minutes, like I said, but they're very well produced. We got our buddy Tim Mullins from HHH Media, who's doing the video portion. I'm taking care of the writing and the narrating of the story. But yeah, it's something we're really proud of, and the first episode will be out. So if you go to YouTube, Hillbilly Dead Time Stories, if you listen to the podcast, the audio version will still be up there. So it works as an audio, but it also works as a video. So it just depends. We're trying to branch out. We found out that a lot of people that listen to podcasts don't really watch videos, and people who watch a lot of videos don't listen to podcasts. And this gives us a way to be able to reach out to both of them at the same time.
That's so pretty much you're going to have kind of like animation
Yeah, not as much like cartoon animation, but just true video. Like I know in the first episode, it talks about a woman grabbing her white wedding dress and walking out into the river and dying. And somehow Tim was able to find video of a woman in a white dress walking into the water. And,
wow.
And so, I mean, yeah, it's synced up really well. He takes a lot of pride in his video work. And like I said, a lot of it is stock video and stuff like that. But we mix it in with pictures of like we're doing the first episode on the Rotherwood plantation in Tennessee, and we've got real pictures of Rotherwood in there, so it mixes in there. And if there's any real people that we can find pictures of that were involved in the story, we'll place those in there accordingly. But yeah, anything that we can put in that's accurate, we're putting in, and the rest is stock stuff. But it's meant to just keep your attention the whole story.
Yeah, I know. Would be a cool story on Hillbilly Horror Stories, Brushy Mountain. It's a penitentiary, old penitentiary.
Oh, nice! I love penitentiary stories. So
yeah, it's an amazing place. I just went there with a big group, and that place is captivating. You would love it.
Oh, we need to go.
Definitely look into.
Go to it and also look it up. Look the stories, and it's just amazing. It'd be a good story to tell, especially to your podcast viewers.
And that's another thing, like on the video series in this Hillbilly Dead Time stories, we're going to try on that one to do the lesser known stories, because when you're only doing 10 minutes, you can really do the lesser known ones that don't really fit on the 30, 40-minute series that we're doing on the regular. So it gives us a chance to expose some places that maybe the average person hadn't heard of.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now I kind of want to go back to, you said when you grew up, your house was haunted.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of experiences did you have out of those in that haunted house?
It was a little bit of everything. I would say it was closer to paranormal, or I should say poltergeist type activity. I'll tell you the first story of what we had and give you a little bit of backstory so you know where it kind of comes in from. My mother was raised by her grandparents, so they were more parents to her than her actual parents. And her grandfather had just died. We'd lived in the house for a year with no occurrences. And her grandfather had just died a couple of weeks before. She took it extremely hard. It set off some depression with her that basically lasted the rest of her life. And she died at an early age of 54 years old. So, but her life went downhill after this. She couldn't get out of her own head, I think is the basics of it. But she was really struggling with this death. We were sitting at home, and she was on the phone with one of the prayer services, 700 Club. And she was, they had a prayer line you could call. She was on the phone. I was sitting next to her, probably 8 feet away from a television, one of those old console televisions. And it had a pincushion sitting on top. As she's sitting there on the prayer line, this thing pops off about 2 feet in the air and just lands in the middle of the floor. Not fell off, popped up and landed 2-3 feet away from the television.
Wow.
And that was the very first incident we had, which leads me to believe that maybe years later, looking back, that maybe some of this was caused by, just like you would see another poltergeist activity with, kids that are going through puberty or something like that, just all this built up energy and angst, but I know she hung up the phone from that. We looked at each other like, hey, did you see that? We both agreed. Yeah, we both saw the same thing. That thing just popped up in the air for no reason. And then that later that night, I was in bed. She starts hearing stuff up in our attic, which our attic was pretty much, it was not finished. So it was just, some rafters up there and some insulation. We had a couple of boxes up there, but no heavy furniture or anything. And she was hearing something up there. So I went ahead and she came in my bedroom, woke me up, said she was, concerned, wanted me to come in there. I didn't hear anything. The following night, though, she came and woke me up again, so hearing the same things. I actually did hear stuff that night, and kind of freaky going on. It sounded like heavy furniture moving around up there. You know how wood on wood sounds like if you had a dresser on a wooden floor, it's got that screeching kind of sound. That's the way it sounded. And from that point on, I mean, it was just all kinds of little things like that. Voices you would hear through the ductwork of like whispering, but you really couldn't make out what was being said, but you could make out it was 2 or 3 different voices, things that would just appear. And like I remember one time walking into a room, as I went from one room to the other, there was a bunch of toys laying in the middle of the floor. I picked them up, put them back in a toy box, walked outside to the swimming pool, came back in the house like 5 minutes later, and those same toys are right back out again, and nobody else was in the house other than me. So just things like that happened over about a 5-year period. Hearing a baby cry on a regular basis in like the hallway area, just inexplicable shadows that would happen, growls, groans, grunts, you name it, those type of things. But Yeah, it was literally 5 years of that type of stuff on a fairly regular basis.
Wow, yeah, that's incredible when something just gets moved out there. Like my house, I'll give you now. We've had instances where fruit and stuff and food would be taken out of our refrigerator and put right in the center of our kitchen, literally set perfectly. Like nobody was near the area, and so we come in, we're like, what the hell just happened? Or the door, or my wife has been locked in the bathroom. We've had the door fully unlock itself and swing. We've had a lot of instances like that and a lot of EVPs, and it's pretty. We're kind of used to it now because it just happens on a daily basis. But it's just like whatever. You just get used to it.
Yeah, it got to that way with us where we just pretty much. I learned at an early time that like if the whispering and stuff was going on, I could literally say just stop, and it would stop.
Yeah.
It's almost like we had an understanding. You can whisper all you want unless I got something going on. If I got something going on where it's interfering with it, then just stop. As you can imagine, that was a deal killer for trying to bring girls home most of the time.
Imagine that, just bringing a girl home and then all of a sudden something flies. You're like, yep, bye.
Yeah, you hear all this whispering, and she's like, "What? You got friends in the closet watching? What? No, that's not what it is."
No, it's my friend the ghost or Catherine. Now I see you're a big horror movie fan. I see posters back there.
This is actually our podcast studio. So there's a big part of it you can't see. We got giant cardboard cutouts of Jason and Freddy. We've got
awesome
all kinds of pictures of Chucky and stuff hanging in Jason mask, Freddy Krueger gloves. Yeah, they're kind of all hanging all over the place. So,
what's your guys' favorite horror movie?
Oh, mine without a doubt is The Exorcist. I got 3 posters in this room of The Exorcist, and it doesn't even come close to my favorite movie period of all time.
That's awesome. What about you, Tracy?
It's honestly about the same.
Same.
Yeah.
No,
now, I can say that for some reason, I don't like to watch them now. I don't know if it's because since I've been on this podcast that makes me really think, like, for instance, I will never go in the woods again, ever. Like, ever. Like, unless there's like 50 people with me. I just can't do it. It freaks me out to no end. I just cannot. I'm like, no way.
I could go by myself and fall asleep.
Oh my gosh, I cannot. Oh, it just petrifies me now. I don't know why, but
let me see if I could pick my camera up without doing too much damage. I'll kind of show you around a little bit. Why is this one? Oh, I'm not even using this camera. Well, I guess that's not going to be happening.
No. Well, that was funny.
Yeah, I guess I just got this camera and I forgot that when I switch on, I have to actually change the camera from the onboard. So
that's awesome. It's funny. You said The Exorcism. Mine is Chucky. Ever since I was a little kid, my parents actually had me watch it, which was the biggest mistake ever because I've had freaking nightmares for life. Just seeing that freaking doll.
Oh my gosh, yeah. We got his face hanging
Chucky hanging on the wall up here. Here, I'll do this. We'll pick this up and see if we can see a little more. But there's you can see over there, we've got Robert the doll, we've got a bunch of skulls, a bunch of haunted dolls, us at Waverly. What do we got back here? Our curtain has bats on it.
That's awesome.
And then, like I said, I don't know how much you'll be able to see up here, but this is above our studio, so you got some
hillbilly horror stories. That's awesome.
Yeah, so a little bit. And then we got our bookcase over here. There's our giant cutouts of Jason and Freddy. You can see them kind of over in the corner.
That's cool.
But yeah, a little bit of everything.
That's cool. So cool, man. Thank you. In the next couple of minutes, what kind of advice would you give someone as a new listener to your show, what to look for, or just to explain to your listeners out there, just pretty much just put in your 2 cents about your show?
Well, here's what we try to do. We try to give you as much information as we possibly can on the subject. Tracy doesn't know the story going into it. She rarely does she know even what the topic's going to be till we start. That way you get her genuine reaction. So I'll tell the story. She reacts. A lot of times she's going to ask the same questions that you're probably thinking at home.
Mm-hmm.
We try to add a little bit of comedy in there. We don't take ourselves too seriously. And a lot of people like that aspect of it. It's not too goofy to where people can't get into the story, but at the same time, it's not so serious that you're going to have nightmares from what's going on. And we try to be tactful. If we're doing one of those true crime segments and we're talking about someone losing their life or something, we're not going to make jokes about that.
Of course not.
So there's some things are kind of off limits. We poke more fun at ourselves than we do the subject matter.
I do that all the time, poke myself. You have to have fun.
But that's kind of what you're getting with us. It's just, just fun. We just try to be fun.
That's awesome. Well, Tracy and Jerry, thank you so much for coming on my show.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
And also, viewers who are listening today, please check out Jerry and Tracy, Hillbilly Horror Stories, and your new project, Hillbilly
Dead Time Stories on YouTube.
On YouTube. Please check them out on Facebook, Twitter, and let's see.
We're on TikTok now. Well, I'm excited.
Oh my gosh, I never thought it would come to that.
Yeah, and look, I've already started. We're going to start doing like a little 30 or 40 second creepy fact video on YouTube 3 or 4 times. I mean, on TikTok 3 or 4 times a week. So yeah, we just signed up like 3 or 4 days ago, and we've already got close to 800 followers. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah, my kids does a TikTok thing on a daily basis, and they try to have me do these weird dances or whatever it is. I try, but it looks stupid. That's all I'm gonna say.
Believe me,
I already know
no
better
clue.
than to try the dances and stuff, so that's not gonna happen.
Understand, guys. Well, hey, I love you guys. Like I said, please listen to Hillbilly Horror Stories. And again, thank you so much. I love what you guys are doing. Keep doing it. Keep the faith. Keep the uplifting. And have a good night.
And we definitely appreciate you having us on the show.
Thank you so much, hon. We appreciate you.
Love you guys. Peace. And we'll see you next Monday.
All right. Sounds good.